Dr. M, I don't know whether I was audible.
Yes, are you able to see what's being shared?
Yes, we are able to see what is being shared, yes.
All right. So thank you, Kenneth. You have taken your colleagues through up to the do's and don'ts. And I believe we can't read through everything, but we'll try to share this afterwards. So I had shared it with Mwezi. I hope he has extended the same document to you. And you can take down a note or two as we continue. So last time we did a summary from documentation life cycle. Is everybody hearing me, or I can hear some feedback?
No, you're audible enough. It's only that some people have not
Yes.
muted their microphones.
Okay, thank you. So last time I told you that from the moment you have an idea and you start to pry into your idea, look at the feasibility of what you want to do, you start the creation of the document. And while you're looking at your idea, you start to wonder if, for example, if you wanted to start to manufacture a product, you would start from the point where you want to know whether it's a generic. If you're an innovator, you want to know whether this heat molecule is now viable for you. So I'm quite excited to talk about this section of batch manufacturing, and I will be with my colleagues. Brenda will be in the chat speaking up those points. Kenneth will take us through the SOPs. And so this cycle is no different from what will happen with the BMR and SOP, except that one is heavier than the other. I'll take you through the BMR, and I'll be sharing on and off. That's why I had hoped that someone would share this. And then from there, we'll be able to go on fast and we talk about data integrity, again at a deep dive. So we all know now what good documentation is, the principles, and we also know why we should be keep our eyes open when we are joining an industry. Like I said earlier, as a pharmacist, you're joining an industry at an expert level. So why we are going through this process of good documentation is that some of you will join new companies starting from scratch. They are seeing you as their god in the organization. Others will be joining old companies, but of course, all the companies also have their challenges. They have documents that will need to be reviewed. They will have procedures that have changed over time, and therefore they will also look at you as the expert. So the internship time now is the right time for us to share with you some experiences so that once you reach inside there, you'll do better. You'll do all your own research. You'll touch up on many other things. Brenda and I, probably for us, we joined starting companies. So literally the whole board position was on us. You are the QA, you are the production pharmacist, you are the research and development head, you are the technology transfer person. So you end up, digging deeper into these documents and trying your level best to see that your employer gets the best out of you, and you also learn in the process. So whatever we are sharing with you may be on the surface, but I hope it will excite you to take that next step, to not underlook yourself once you have completed your internship. You go in there ready to learn and unlearn and ready to change your mind on so many things. And the system, our guidelines today have push the pharmacist from only the shop floor. So we have you also in the QA, we'll have you also in the quality control, and you will be the ones who are going to be supervising units. If you find the experienced pharmacists, in 2 years' time, you're expected to be the ones supervising the units at officer level. Some people will call you unit supervisors, others will call you officers, but you're going to be accountable since the guidelines have changed to involve you everywhere. So I hope all of you are excited that opportunities have opened up for us, but those opportunities call for us to, be fast on our fingers and our feet. So our document, the one I'll talk about is the BMR. Our BMR comes from the master production record. And where is the master production record coming from? Our master production record is generated at the start as you have identified your hit molecule, or you have identified a feasible generic. Now you want to start working on this. So for the new molecule, it's a phase 1 that will generate that process for you. In the phase 1, you are not even validating. You're first putting in place procedures. You've done the feasibility. You know because now you know at lab level what this molecule has told you that it can do, and now you want to. So that's where the master production record starts to take shape. That's the creation step of the master production record. Once you have gone through your first step of doing the feasibility, the first batch record for your phase 1 is the one which is going to feed into your different levels of validation. You start to do the pivots, you start to do the preclinicals. And so in that process, you are taking shape in your master production record. After validating this, and you now have a clear record that you can depend on, your master production record forms the template upon which your batch manufacturing record is going to be taking. It's your daily recording as you manufacture. So your master production record is your template. It tells you what happened during the research or at the development level. Now you have your batch manufacturing record, which now you're going to say, I am still sticking to the procedures, to the standards that were generated at the development level. That is your batch manufacturing record. So once you have this document, whatever is in your master production record generally is what will appear in your batch manufacturing record, but with more detail. So you already have the product name. You have already identified your details of the bill of materials. You already know the equipment. You already know the component list. You have already anticipated the theoretical yield. You have the expected yield, the actual yields that have come out of this development level. You have all the SOPs that follow the different equipment and the procedures in place for sampling, for instructions. All these are available in your batch manufacturing record against your template, which is your master production record. So now, you as a pharmacist coming into manufacturing, you are going to interact mostly with the batch manufacturing record. And at this point, I want to stop sharing this one so that you can take a look at, first of all, the expectations from you from the guidelines, and then you also get the expectations we will look at the living document. I have tried to get a copy. There are two samples we have. I have a sample which is just a template. I have a sample which is I have one which is basic. I have one which is detailed, but I want you to be able to see where you fit in as a pharmacist and what you will be interacting with. So what is typical on your batch manufacturing record? You have a unique number, you have a description, you have your raw materials, you have equipment, just like we have said it up there. You have who performed, you have the environmental monitoring, so your temperatures, your humidity, everything is in there. You have the different steps where you're going to have your controls done, and the deviations, and there are those which will dive in. So you capture all that. In some companies, you're going to find that the production and the packaging may be taken differently. So you might find someone saying batch production, BPR, and then they are also giving you a PBR differently, but all of them are batch manufacturing record. At the end of the day, they are a compilation of those activities that have happened from the time you get your raw materials to the time that you pack and push the product. So quickly, let me show you what is the guideline today, so that you know the expectations from your side. Once you go in, do not go in with the fear. You are definitely going to be pharmacists working with the older pharmacists who have been around, as well as you being looked upon to bring new things in the process, because also the older pharmacists in the system are also looking at you as a backup. There are many things that they may or may not know. As systems are changing, you are more agile with the new technologies, especially now that most of you have gone through AI and the rest of us have not. So we look up to you as we are working with you. So the new guideline, effective 20 August guideline, which is now placing you in all of the documents I will share with you. You will see that it is talking about chemist. But initially we had chemists in quality assurance, in quality control, and the pharmacist was like just limited to production. But now you are everywhere. And now we have more pharmacists, so even the supervisor in the units, and this is the authority and the trust it puts in you. You will just be, as once you get your board certification, you qualify to work in the industry as a unit supervisor or officer. And so through your training, within 2 years, you qualify to now be supervising the unit by yourself. That is the production unit or quality assurance unit or a production line, whatever you will find present in that organization. So quickly, there is a quality assurance pharmacist now, as per the guidelines. And the quality assurance is responsible for looking at the documents, looking at the staff, looking at the equipment, looking at every aspect of documentation, generation of documents. So the other master production record that I've talked about is going to be, master batch record is going to be reviewed by a pharmacist who is in quality assurance before it even goes to production. So there you go. You have responsibilities there. You have to confirm whether it qualifies, and the batch manufacturing record is meeting the requirements and standards that the product is going to be produced under quality assured systems. Then you have a pharmacist who is also going to be in production. Does it make any superior than the other? No, we have opened up India has opened up gaps for pharmacists to impact the quality of the product. So you're working together. You must know what is expected from quality assurance and what is expected from production and what is expected from quality control. So even the pharmacy is going to be in production. What are you doing in production? You are ensuring that whatever instructions are in the BMR are done to the dot. You are ensuring that the documentation is quality, instructions are followed. You have quality assurance officers you're working with that are signing also on their duties and roles. You have premises and equipment meeting the qualifications if they have to be working in together. You have to be sure that the product you're manufacturing is actually against validated processes, and you are also ensuring that you are coming in as an expert. You are going to find in chemists that you work with, and you know we are a multidisciplinary profession. So chemists are working with you in this document, but you are the person going to append your signature that all these things are done in the right way, that they meet the safety and efficacy standard of the product. We have a pharmacist now in quality control. So it's no longer the one pharmacist that was running all over the place. All of you have a role to play in the effectiveness of the product. So as you look at this, also in quality control, you will reject what your colleagues have worked on. They are no longer your buddies. They are working together with you to have a good output. You are ensuring that your validations are done. You're ensuring you have the right standards. You're ensuring that tests, in process tests are done. You are basically making sure that the safety is carried through. So the pharmacist is no longer going to go on granulation alone and mix and go away and say, I am blaming the chemist, he's the one who messed up this. No, you are pharmacists all through and overseeing these activities from the day that you sign into the facility. You become the expert. And so your mind must be open to see what is new, to see what needs to be changed, and quickly to learn very fast that it is your responsibility to ensure safety for your Ugandans who are going to take this product. So now looking at the sample basic batch manufacturing record, I'll stop here the share. I wanted you to know where Brenda was coming from. With you a living document. And as you raise your questions, put them in the chat. Brenda and Kenneth are worthy colleagues. They have also been in manufacturing. Brenda is also in regulation. So basically, they can answer as many questions as they can or respond. They will definitely tell you as colleagues that we learn every day and give them some time to respond. So this is our basic batch manufacturing record earlier highlighted. Here they are looking at us. So your batch manufacturing record has a title. It has various sections. So you have your title up there. It's your company name, whatever company it is. You have who has prepared this. You have the production manager. You have your quality assurance manager. So in one way or the other, you may not necessarily have. In smaller companies, the preparing and the approving may also be done by you. Then you have your product details. What is it that you're going to manufacture? You'll have the batch record issuance. So if you had it, some companies already have it on soft copy and they are operating in soft, or they are operating in hybrid, like we said last time, online and offline. So basically, you may have a hard copy that you're going to be writing in, or you may have a soft copy that you are appending your on your soft signature onto. There you are with the documents and references that you're going to be working with. Every page on the batch manufacturing record must have that title section of the company. It should show what version, the date you're working on it, and it should show the effective and also the period within which version of the revision. Others may have at the bottom also when they should be reviewed. You have your raw material list. This is basically bigger than this. The one I'll come to, I've also tried to summarize. In outpatient. So you have the equipment, list of equipment, and in your list of equipment, you should be able to show whether it's calibrated. Okay, this is information that you're also going to have also on your equipment logs. But it should also surface in the BMRs. Basically, it's not as bulky. For those who have done lean manufacturing, some processes have been limited to remain in the logs and just have a small line. And you need to know who has performed that and the time. I see this one has date, but also the date and time is important. Then you have the procedures and the rooms, the steps that are happening. There is where someone is, you're continuously, Brenda talked about, you may not write your whole name and your signature and everything. So initials go around these spots and then verified by. Today, we work in twos, we work in pairs. You do not work alone. So there is someone who is performing. In most cases, you have the operators performing, and then you have the unit supervisors signing or other colleagues signing. And in some setups, they are also deputies and managers who are engaged in this. So you have the operators doing the role, and then there's someone who is verifying that it's been done. So there we go with our procedure, and the parameters that we set were transferred. You have to mention where you are doing that operation, in which room. You have to be able to show the parameters in the room. You have to label the containers clearly. If you're mixing, there you go. You have to be able to show. Now, for smaller facilities, in probably the same room divided or something of the sort, but in bigger facilities, you'll find different cubicles. And it should be a process. The process flow should be unilateral. You don't be going back and forth. So you have seen the other step was in room 1. Now this is in room 2. So this should be the basic small facility setup. Without going back and forth. You have joined a new facility, you find that they are going back and forth, then the product is in the other room, they are running from one room to another, and you are the pharmacist of that unit. You now have to start to think about how do we make this process to have a uniflow, not going back and forth. we have tableting, and even the other one I'm going to show you is from tableting. So you notice that every page has the title. Every room has its parameters set and put in place, and the procedures and activities happening in that room are there. The equipment in that room are mentioned, and they may give them numbers, basically because it's the right way to track your equipment that you're using, and at the same time the right way to be sure that the process is in the right room. For example, if someone ended up in another room and they are going for a different process, likely you are going to have issues. Maybe that room is also not clean. You have not had line clearance. You have not done anything. And we are not saying wherever you're going to find all these being followed to the dot. No, you are the expert in there. You are finding a businessman who has his method or formula that he bought from somewhere, and you are now going to help this businessman tweak this process for the safety of Ugandans or other Africans that will use that product. So quickly, I don't want to bore you with so much of this. I'm taking you to the doc. This one does not have specifically that the pharmacist is signing. This is an older version, most likely. So I want to show you another version. It will have similar things, but it is very detailed to what the pharmacist is going to do. Remember, you're not the originator of this document, so you are joining, you're going to find a document in the organization, but you have to be able to use your knowledge as an expert in the system to know what is missing in this document, to help fix the document, and to also help fix the processes. According to the guidelines, you are the expert. You are ensuring that the things follow the procedures. I had hoped that this system is also, the Zoom that we are sharing will be able to allow you to even jot down something, the procedure for yourself. But if it's not able to, would have had a breakout rooms, and then we go into these rooms, and a group of 10 make for us a batch manufacturing record. But I believe we'll be able to do it on the SOPs. Batch manufacturing record is a longer process, but on the SOPs, I believe we should be able to do that. So this is the detailed one. Now, again, this detailed one, not to infringe on some companies' IP, I have decided to blind out some spots, and downwards I have not put the title heads, but we'll be able to see where our sections are. So just like the first one, it has a title head, it has the BMR number, the version number, even the master formula number, and it has also the revision, the date of revising. It has how many tablets are going to be manufactured and what weight of the whole batch, has put together the contents, and you are seeing that there are dates and the theoretic areas for the yields that are expected. You have also the license numbers, the material codes. In the previous one, you didn't see the material code. In the research and development stage, all these things they come up with, the material code, you come up with the vendor, how you track your product, your raw material in the system, all that is expected. Also the licenses, for example, you're manufacturing, you are licensed here to manufacture a product X, you should have that license number there, depending on what market you're selling to and what they are demanding for. Your batch number should be there. Your expiry dates are expected, because this is now something working against the master batch record. So all these you have already studied them. So where is the pharmacist in all this? you have listed the processes that are going to be happening, and here checked by pharmacist. So right from the word go, the first stage, you are expected to have checked this process, that everything that is in there meets the requirement. Then you find yourself that, remember, you are working with, you are a multidisciplinary team and a multi-unit team. So all of you are participating in manufacturing this batch. So all those approvals should exist, which should be seen and visible in your document. This one also has the precautions, general instructions for manufacturing are all in there. Now this is the most current to inform the manufacturing process, as well as the hazards that you may face during manufacturing, and what procedures you should take. We have the cleaning and of equipment there. In the previous one, it was already there. So that one, I'll just skip it. I am just trying to show you that this is more detailed than the other one. However, this highlights where the pharmacist comes in. I've removed title heads on the remaining documents. However, you'll be able to see at what stage you come in. So all these are happening. The operators are putting together the information and writing in. You can see the pharmacist, right? So you are here on this stage. At the requisition of the materials for the batch, you confirm that it's the right materials that have been requisitioned. Here you are confirming. So you're ensuring when they are calculating the batch, there is a process that is done, a calculation that is done. You are part of it before they even put in all the requests, and inform, so that at the end of the day you don't sign against what you don't know. So all these other processes have been indicated in the batch manufacturing record. Every step is there. After that came in, we had sifting. They have finished dispensing. They have weighed. There is also pre-weighing, another weighing at the production stage. The dispensing weighs, but also you weigh at the production stage. There is sifting. They are preparing the granulations. They are mixing everything that is happening in this product. In this case, it is atorvastatin. Drying and all those processes. Remember, you are accountable as a pharmacist in this unit. You are going to oversee this, because here you are signing, approving and confirming that these processes have been followed. So when anything goes wrong in this batch, the first person to ask is the pharmacist. What happened? When you're investigating, what happened? What wasn't followed? What could possibly have been the error in is it at dispensing level? Is it at granulation level? What could be our problem? You are expected to be the expert to lead the thinking, the thought process. You may not necessarily be the investigator, but you lead the thought process. Here we are inside the testing, the in-process checks, confirm that process took place. There you are, checking every step, the yield and actual yield, That's what you have got. As you inspect the batches, there you are. Now in this case, they have put also the chemist to sign. Once you reject anything, yes, the chemist also is accountable, or the pharmacist now in charge of the quality control would also, if you have the pharmacist officers on the floor, they should be able to sign here. It may not necessarily be the chemist. You're also signing there. Is the reject being destroyed? There, date and time, accountability in the BMR. So once you reach our pharmaceutical manufacturing units, be keen on the batch manufacturing record, be keen on the procedures, because in this current document, it is showing you that every step of the way you are involved in the BMR. You are involved in looking right from dispensing to coating, to granulating, sifting, whatever sifting is going on, even sizing. Sometimes others will granulate and size again before they sift and mix everything. They may, after mixing everything, or they granulate and they now size the granules, and there you are there because you are supposed to be able to know whether you actually attain the granule size that you were interested in, whether you had too many fines and now your product is not the gravity is working in not in your favor. The active ingredient is more in one section of the batch or less. It is you are accountable. If procedures are not followed, you are accountable. At coating, you are there. You will check and confirm that what was done was done. But of course, I want you to know that you are not the operator. You are looking at what the operators are doing and ensuring that they are following the procedures. So do not fear the process and say, I don't know this, how am I going to learn it? No. As you are working in the process, you first become the documents person. You first understand what these documents are telling them to do, confirm whether they're actually doing that. Have a learning, like I said, learn and relearn and learn. These chemists you're going to work with have been in the industry for a very long time. So there are things they know that you don't know in this BMR. Open your eyes, learn from them, then challenge the system from an informed point of view. There you are checking every step of the document involves the pharmacist. And that is what has been adopted now by our current guidelines. So there is no covering in this process. You are not going to do the covering. You're going to be directly involved. And I think it should be exciting from the time where you start to see the raw material. If you have a department that has an organization that has drug development, technology transfer, it's very exciting when you start to dig into the literature and you see this document taking shape, and then finally you see the pill coming out. Like any other document, it will have observation. Yeah, once you reach in there, you'll be able to learn the abbreviations. Don't rush to fear, because this is a short list. The lists are actually longer than this. I, someone said ppm, I said for what, but it was, preventive maintenance, and for me I was hearing something else. Uh, so you will learn these the language of the batch manufacturing record, and before you know it, you are the expert. You're the one making corrections. You are the one seeing that, of course, when we use this volume or this quantity of coating solution, we have it sticks more, or when there is this temperature, there is sticking, or the tablets get chapped. All that you will learn it over time, because the expertise and the principles you have at hand should be able to allow you to learn and, make your contribution into the manufacturing or GMP. So I think my part may end here for now. What will come up next, we'll talk about the SOPs, because you interact with BMRs and SOPs as in the pharmaceutical industry, as you're joining as newcomers in the pharmaceutical industry. These are the things you'll be interacting mostly with, and as you gain experience, you'll start to pick up other documents in the industry. I hope this has excited you like it has to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you people go into the pharmaceutical manufacturing and working so well at the forefront of making our local manufacturing industry stronger. Do not fear joining us in the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry or in the regulation, by the way, because manufacturing is two-pronged. There is the regulation part and the real physical part where you are touching the product. So you must have both skills or willing to learn and grow both skills to be in the pharma industry. I'm going to share again so that we are able to see where my colleague will join in from. And I hope your questions are coming out there. In the next session, you should be able to pick. In the next section, you should be able to pick the errors that will be picking out in the data integrity part. Once we share this with you, you'll see what is missing, and then you'll also be able to comment on these documents. Probably by that time, Kenneth Komujure will have figured out how to put us in breakout rooms so that we do a little bit of practice, not just talking. Okay, I'm back on the slide I'm back on our document, the slide, and this is where we have been. If I've missed out something, please pick it up and we comment on it. Thank you so much. I've done a lot of talking, and I can still see the quorum is still big, close to the number we started with. So I believe you're paying attention and there are questions coming in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emma, for this particular insightful presentation that was really detailed. I can personally say that I was really, that is tickled to at least the aspects you have been talking about. And I hope it's the same for everyone. So I know we are going to the next session. Maybe you can introduce the next presenter, then we can proceed on. Then in the meantime, just in case you have a question, please type it in the chat box. The questions will be answered with time because already we are running out of time. But if you type them in the chat bot, they will be read. That is at the end of the presentation and then answered also. So please keep typing the questions there as we proceed on with the presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Hello?
Kenneth, you can unmute and take over.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good evening. My name is Kenneth Bunkeddeko. I work with Microhim Scientifics. We manufacture IVDs. I'm going to be taking you through the next session, the next part of the session. Please scroll. Okay. There. I've skipped that other part. I'm going to talk about standard operating procedures. Let us start from the previous slide. Thank you. All of you, I'm sure, picked up the importance of SOPs from the previous session. Dr. Brenda emphasized it well enough. In manufacturing, we want to always make sure our process is consistent and of quality. And to do that, we have the SOP, which tries to guide and always detail what we are supposed to do. That's the entire point behind the standard operating procedure. It's there in the name. Standard, something which is always going to be followed as is a standard. Operating procedure. Now, this is supposed to be a standard way to guide how we are going to do things in the manufacturing. Sorry. That's it. Okay. Hello. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, first of all, the importances of the standard operating procedure. They ensure that the process is consistent and it's of a controlled quality. Then they ensure compliance and safety. In this, they try and make sure that you always have something specific to do and you always know what you're supposed to do, and it's always going to try and make sure that the product is of a specific, safe, quality standard for the people. It ensures productivity and performance. In this, it tries and makes sure that if at all something is being done the same way, you always have an assurance of what you're going to produce. Then if at all you end up having less than that, or the yield is low, or you have more, it also helps you highlight, because you can easily be able to trace back and see what changed. If at all you're able to trace what changed, you can be able to improve the process. So it helps assure the productivity and enforces consistent performance. Then it's useful in transference of knowledge. If at all you have a new person who comes in, an SOP is a good starting point for that person. When you're training that person, it still helps. If at all knowledge is being moved from one area to another, like in the cases of technology transfer, these are cases whereby you are having a product which is being manufactured by some other industry somewhere else in the world, but now you are beginning to have that manufacturing process in your place. The SOPs are going to be shared with you, and these are going to try and guide you on what is supposed to be done. It's always a good starting point. You don't have to start from zero. You're always grounded in what you're doing. The next one. Dr. Emma, kindly scroll. Yes. So the life cycle of an SOP. The life cycle of an SOP is not so different from the life cycle of any document. In fact, it's the same. But it's now just comes out on how you're going to look at it. I was speaking to a colleague earlier today, and I asked him if at all he was to talk about a development of a document, how he would see it. And it didn't really differ from this. I'm going to try and take you through what we shared at that time. Started from, ideally, if at all I'm going to get an SOP for a procedure, first of all, you're going to identify a need. Now that's going to be in the part where you're going to get a scope and purpose. You identify a need that, say, we want to be able to manufacture this product, or we want to be able to clean this product or clean this area. After you've identified that need, you're going to now find out who am I going to be addressing, whose need am I going to be serving with this procedure. After you've found out who you're going to be serving, you have to try and customize that information that you're going to be using to that specific person or those specific people, the audience. To do this, you will consider what is being done in the environment that you're in, and you're also going to look at various standards which are there. Here you look at various documents which are available. This can be NDA standards, ISO standards, various guidelines, because in most cases, It's very few times that you always end up coming up with something new. In most cases, if at all you're going to do something, it is already there. You're just going to modify something and based on work which has already been done so that you always have something which is going to be easily followable for the people, and then something which is going to be easily understandable and usable, and that is going to match the standards, because however much we're making our SOP to fit our needs, we don't want to make an SOP which is going to be going off our intention of having good manufacturing practices. So in industry, you would now be thinking about raising a change request or a change control. In the change control, this is where now you're going to log your requirement or your need to develop an SOP. You log it with quality assurance, and it is assessed by the people in the various departments. And then now you begin documenting the SOP. In the process of developing of the SOP, now you're going to be interacting with people in various areas. The people in those various areas are now going to review your document and then adjust it they adjust it according to their needs, because this is a document you're trying to create to serve the community or the people you're working with. You can't develop it alone. You always have to have their input, because someone will always see something you might not have seen. So now I think now we're on like the third part, whereby it's now stated as format and writing style. So in this place, you're going to look at various documents which are there, the previous version of the SOP, the various standards. You'll now look at them again in this part. Then after you've finished having that developed, now you go to the next part of test and adjust. In the part of test and adjust, you're going to pick out various reviewers in various departments, the user departments, the end users of the SOP. Now, these people are going to go through your SOP that you've made, and then they will tell you, now for this, maybe we don't actually do that here. It is not actually something we are capable of doing with our current system, or in the current place, we are working like this, and we are not able to do that. This is supposed to be approved by this person. All that comes in at that part. Then it also comes in again now, still on the part of testing and adjusting. After those people have reviewed and the SOP has been approved by the quality assurance manager, now you come to the part whereby now you're supposed to train your end users. Here, you're going to get the people who you're going to actually be working with, and you'll train them on the SOP you've developed. After training them on the SOP you've developed, you assess them. Here they give tests. There are pass marks which are supposed to be met, satisfied, and after, if at all you've confirmed that this SOP has actually been understood by these people, that's when you go on to effect the SOP. After the SOP has been effected, it is distributed. Then the previous version is obsoleted and withdrawn. Then the SOP works. The SOP has annexures which would be executable. These annexures, or there's something else we call them in this document, you'll see it, but they are working documents. These are going to be the ones which are going to be these are the ones which are going to record your activities that you've documented in the SOP. Now, these are going to always be being used. And as these are being used, various changes might come up in the system, in the life cycle of the SOP. You might find out that this document is not actually compatible with what we want. So in that case, you move to the next part. That is going to be the part of review and update. Normally, the SOPs are given about 2 to 3 years to review. In this time, people use the SOP. If at all they see any need to change the SOP, or there's any incidents which comes up, or an update to a guideline, now we would have to review it earlier than the 3 years. Or if at all the validation process was conducted and we saw that in the validation process there's a parameter that needs to be adjusted, now this triggers a review of the SOP. And if at all it is updated and reviewed, the previous version would now be obsoleted. Obsolescence is now going to start off a new cycle whereby now you begin the process of developing a new SOP or a new version of the SOP, and then the previous version is withdrawn and archived and kept for various times according to what your QMS dictates. At times, documents can be kept for 10 years. It depends. Yeah, that's a rough idea of the life cycle of the SOP. Now, for the elements of the SOP, the SOP has a number of elements, but I'm going to take you through them briefly. But it's still not going to differ so much from what we've talked about in the previous part. There's a title. A title basically still reflects what you needed. Say an SOP of cleaning. It's basically going to be it's going to compose of the activity that you want to speak about, and it's going to be trying to identify it to say an equipment or an area of which you want that person who's going to use it to be focused to. So that's the title. It roughly gives you the subject of the conversation. Then the scope. The scope is the next section. The scope tries and details everything that this activity is going to relate to. Say we are looking at cleaning. The scope can be cleaning of production areas or cleaning of warehouses, cleaning of drain points, cleaning of the fields. The scope tries to give you a bigger picture of the various areas this SOP is going to be relating to. Then there's a purpose. The purpose goes down to a detail of trying to explain what the title was talking about. It's going to say, let's see an example. The purpose of this SOP is to outline how, say, this equipment is going to be cleaned in this specific section. The purpose tries to narrow down and focus the person on the intention of the SOP, to try and tell them that this SOP was specifically designed because of this reason. The title gives a hint on that, but the purpose tries to point the person to what you want them to do and what you want them to be able to accomplish at the end of that SOP. The definitions are going to always have various information that needs to be understood by the person. Definitions can be from various standards that you use to develop, or they can be from an understanding of the facility. Definitions try and help us be able to understand the major points in the SOP's body that the person is going to encounter and that they are going to possibly need an explanation for. Roles and responsibilities, these ones try and highlight what each person is going to do. If at all someone is going to be cleaning, they need to know that I'm going to be the one cleaning and I'm going to have to answer to so and so. If at all someone is going to be the one to verify that the cleaning has been done, this is where this is highlighted. If at all someone is going to be the one to review the records, this is where all that is highlighted. Then the materials talk about what you need in your activity. It can list the various requirements that you need to procure from outside, that you need to have present and requisition for in order to accomplish your activity. Then the procedure tries to break down an exact detailing of what you're supposed to do. The procedure is what is going to tell you if at all you are going to clean this area. First of all, okay, this equipment, first of all, dismantle this part. Then it tells you dismantle it to this level, mix a solution of this specific concentration, clean it like this, because at times there are specific ways certain areas are supposed to be cleaned to prevent cross-contamination and contamination of cleaned parts. It details everything that you're supposed to do from the start of the procedure till the end. Then the references now refer to the standards you used. They refer to the previous SOPs that you're referring to. If at all you have an SOP for deviation, you're going to always refer to other SOPs which help in implementing this procedure, like investigations, CAPAs, like however much you have an SOP, you're not always going to relate to standards. At times, you're going to relate to other procedures in your facility. This is where it comes in. This identifies the SOPs you're going to relate to. It identifies the various standards from which you developed your information. Then there's the part of revision history. This relates to our change control that we talked about. If at all you've made an SOP, we need you to be able to know that this SOP started from this point, it was moved to this version because of this reason, then it was moved to this other version because of this reason. The history is going to have that part, that information, that this change happened on this date, it was done by so and so because of this reason. And we're on this version because of this and this reason. The next slide, please. Okay. Yeah. Emma, could you help share the Word document for the SOP?
In a minute, as you address any questions, if any.
Okay. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for me? Let me check in the chat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the amend forms. Are there any questions? Are there any questions you can raise? Okay. Okay. Yeah, but basically, the SOP is supposed to be something which you can use at any place. Even in your pharmacies, you develop SOPs. If I told you come out and you're going to begin supervising in the pharmacies, one of the things which are required is for you to have SOPs which are going to be guiding your activities. SOPs don't need to be very detailed. They can be as simple as simple instructions for someone to do so that someone can be able to follow something consistently and try and always make sure that the outcome, if at all someone follows this procedure to dot, I know what is expected to come out. If at all it doesn't come out, possibly something went wrong. So the SOP tries to guide us and identify assured ways to produce a specific quality of standard products. If at all it changes, we base on the SOP in the investigation, and we base on the various things which could have been done wrong, basing on what we know about the SOP and what the person will tell us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth. I see as we wait for Dr. Emma to share the document, I see Gloria Nicole is raising her hand. Maybe she can unmute and speak to us.
Yeah, let her unmute and speak.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good
so
evening.
Dr. Kenneth, I have a question for you. On the different parts of the SOP, you had a part that was talking about the references. So assuming I have the SOP and I'm making it for the first time and there are no previous SOPs? What am I referencing?
For starters, at times it's not a must that you're going to have a reference. At times it can be blank if at all it's the first time. But in most cases, it's generally good practice for you to have something which backs your activity because we are trying to assure quality. So in this case, there are various guidelines. NDA guidelines try and detail some of the requirements which we require in general manufacturing. You can refer to those guidelines. It's not a must to refer to other SOPs. At times, even guidelines might not be there for that specific activity you're trying to do. But in most cases, try and look out for published documents, published standards. If at all you can't find anything, and when you review your GMP standards, there's nothing being contradicted, it's not a must for you to have references, but it is good practice.
Okay, thank you.
So as you can see here, still...
What I can add on that is that usually the organization has an SOP for making SOPs. So that is your starting point. In case you are writing an SOP from zero. There is an SOP for writing SOPs, and it will give you a description of how all documents in the organization will come into existence, including your SOPs that don't have references. It has already anticipated this SOP for making SOPs anticipates how your equipment will be cleaned, how what. So it puts together how you will handle SOPs of different categories.
Yeah, okay. Yes, that is an important document, by the way. In most cases, if at all you're in industry, one of the things you need to look out for is it's a document called SOP of SOPs. Okay, that's what it has been called at the places I've been working at, but it's generally a guide, like she has said. It helps define that when you're writing an SOP, this is what we expect you to do. This is what we expect the scope to look like, the definitions to look like. This is what we expect the overall document. It tries and breaks down what we expect from every part and how the overall document is supposed to look in that specific facility. But that's mainly in industry. Okay. So as you can see in this illustration, it's an example which was shared by Dr. Brenda. Thank you, Dr. Brenda. The first part was the purpose. The purpose of the SOP was to try and look at complaints and recalls and how they can be attended to. Then the scope applies to basically handling of the complaints of products. So for this case, if I told you in a specific facility, the scope can now be looking at now your different products that you're making. The purpose is pointing you to the specific activity that you want to do, but the scope shows you, if I told you to apply this procedure, this is how far we expect you to go to. Or we don't expect you to go below this when you're addressing things using this SOP. It can also be in position to tell you, if I told you you're looking at this, don't look beyond this. That's what the scope does in this case. Then the definitions, here we had no definitions. Then the references came in while we're looking at the ISO and GMP and the ISO 22716. Okay, it's a guideline on GMP. Then, then other references came in. Then responsibilities and authorities. Now this is what was trying to identify who is supposed to do what. And in the cases of complaints and recalls, it's everyone's responsibility in the industry to handle any complaint. If at all there's any of you work in industry and you hear any complaint about your product, even if you're at home, it's your responsibility to bring that feedback back to the facility That's why here they're saying all employees are responsible to adhering to this SOP. It even usually applies to cleaners, HR, anyone who works for that specific facility. Scroll down a bit. So then we go down into the specific details of what we expect you to do. It will talk about the forms to fill, how often you're supposed to do which activities, when which activity is supposed to be done. That's what's going to be in the method or methodology or procedure. Some places, that's what they call it. Scroll further. Yeah, they looked at product complaint, then the receipt of complaints. So here they called it records. That's what I was calling annexures for me. Currently where I'm working, we call them annexures, but now these are records. Ideally, if I told you have an SOP, these records or the annexures are the ones which are going to be helping you execute your activities. That's why you're going to have a worksheet, say that you can have a process flow to show you that from this activity, do this activity. From this activity, do this activity. It can have illustrations or job aids to try and summarize your activity. It can have specific entry documents, records where you're supposed to record activities for that specific SOP. Even the BMR is usually a reference to an SOP. It's usually an annexure in the SOP, in that specific SOP for manufacturing, of which it's trying to implement the process of manufacturing, which is usually detailed in that specific SOP. So this one has the executable part of the BMR. In most cases, if at all an audit is being done in your facility, this is what they are going to look at. They're going to look at what your SOP says, and then they come to the annexures and they look at how you specifically executed those annexures and you filled them out. Did you comply with what your SOP requires you? Say recording 3 times a day. Did you record the entries 3 times a day? Did you have the entries checked by someone? That's where all that is going to be. Then the last part, document annexure amendments history. Now this is going to refer to our change control, whereby we're going to track who did what change, when, and why. This is what tries to track that. Yeah, I think that is it. I would request Brenda, if at all she has anything to add, to come in at this point.
Dr. Brenda, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, but it looks like all the areas have been sufficiently covered, so I don't have anything useful to add at this moment. Thank you so much.
Okay. And Emma, I hand the session back to you.
All right, thank you so much for, again, keeping time and being patient with the technology and everything else, and listening to our experience as we share with you our journey in industry, and excite you into joining us in GMP and in pharmacy practice in general. I'm sure our colleagues have also talked about different things altogether. What may not come through, of course, this is a brief touch-up, but what may not come through, you can, or what hasn't come through clearly, you can contact us. We have many colleagues in industry, but you can contact me, you can contact Brenda, you can contact Kenneth. There is quite a number of us in industry and who have been there for a while to share our experiences. What we've shared with you, again, me, I'm working as a consultant at this level. Formulation, batch records, all documentation related issues or GMP related issues. We are quite a team, not a small number. We are people who have experience in manufacturing, right from technology transfer to regulation to launching of products, basically. So wherever you find yourself, do not hesitate to ask a question. Next week, we'll be taking you through the last session, which will be on data integrity. And we are going to look at the documents that have queries from FDA. I am hoping that Brenda will capture for us also documents that are local, so that we don't just go abroad to look at queries and yet we have queries of our own that we can learn from. But we'll have such documents, and preferably, Kenneth, if you can, yeah, Kenneth, if you are able, Kenneth Kajumori, if you are able to do the breakout rooms, practice it during the next one day or two, so that we can challenge you at looking at the documents, or at least making an SOP, and also challenge you at your workplace where you are right now as an intern, what SOP is missing, so that this training does not stop at just talking to you, that it will also bring immediate impact at the workplace you are in. And possibly we could also see you bring out, look at a document that can be queried, living documents. We'll try and see if we can get living documents where you will also read through a small segment, like a case study. You read through a small segment of a document that was rejected, and you tell us what you have learned from that document. So that the next session, half of it is us talking and the other half is you guys talking, so that we get the feel of how far we've come from the from the last session to the one we'll have on first. Otherwise, thank you so much, and please, Kenneth, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Emma, for that. And we really are grateful as the Interns Pharmacists Association of Uganda to Dr. Kenneth, to Dr. Brenda, and then Dr. Emma too, for these particular insights you have taken us through as regards the different documents used in pharmaceutical manufacturing. And I believe, just like I have been excited, to venture more into the aspect of pharmaceutical manufacturing, the rest may apply also to the people who are already on the audience. We are really thankful for the particular insights you have really shared, and we can't wait for the next session already. Then also, as regards the aspect of breakout rooms, I think I'm going to try and communicate and see how we can do that, so that we have a practical experience in our next session. And then to the audience, we're really thankful for your patience, especially with these, the technology glitches that we have had. And thank you for standing with us until the end of the presentation. From me, I think I can wish us a good night, in case there isn't anything else more to say. That is from either the audience or from the speakers. We can call it a good night until the next session. Yeah, thank you all.
Good night.
You have been talking about, and I hope it's the same for everyone.